Okay, everyone. Is it time to panic in Yieldmax shares? Because after all, the market is showing some disturbing signs of weakness. And okay, you wanted to see Navy, Frosty Dog. Here you go. Here she goes. I'll show her again. Here's TJ, by the way. Say hi, TJ.
Hi.
Just got to get him in there one time. He met a lot of great people at the conference. Marcos, Ari. Hopefully he gets a chance to meet Ryan and the others, the other YouTube channels that I'm sure y'all are familiar with. I do Yieldmax, I do Defiance and Roundhill and some of these more controversial funds, but they earn us over $600,000 per year in dividends. Okay, so that's the thing about my channel. I noticed a lot of differences about my channel and other YouTubers' channels. Okay, we had a little bit of a performance slip on Friday, okay, but we're still beating the NASDAQ, okay? So I'm okay with being in between the S&P and the NASDAQ, as I always say. So when we have this kind of margin leverage, 465,000 right now in margin leverage, well then we're going to see extra slippage. But, with this kind of margin leverage, you would think that I'm getting killed right now, but our available withdrawal is still high, and I'm using all the techniques that I've learned over the years to stay ahead of this market, live financially free out of my brokerage account, and hopefully outperform the market in the process. If you need help doing the same, you can always email me for my e-guides at aikentod48@gmail.com. That's how all of my members are here, by the way, okay? Frosty Dog, he's one of my admin. I just saw him in the chat. Thanks for being here early, Frosty Dog. He's a great admin. He's there in our Discord chat room, which a lot of people, we have around 2,000 members in our Discord chat room. A lot of members here are in this chat room for the Cornerstone rights offering announcement, but it's turned into a chat room for all kinds of things, okay? You can see all the channels that we have here. We have a Roundhill, Yieldmax, Defiance, you name it. So when you buy my e-guides, you email me, I email you back, and, I guess you have to take a leap of faith or something like that, because most people here wanted to get ahead. So you just go to my Gmail, and then, usually I'll just respond to you right away. And I'll send you back a template, saying here's, information on my e-guide. So we're trying to live financially free out of my brokerage account. We're all doing it out of our brokerage accounts. I've been doing it out of mine for about 10 years now. I've been trading for 20 years, not really trading, but investing. And when I found dividends, that's what really changed my life, because as you saw with TJ at the beginning of the video, I had to have qualifying income to live free from a 9-to-5, and that is the FIRE lifestyle. Okay, financially independent, retire early. That's what it means. I had to have dividends to qualify me for that. Okay, so I was just talking with a member this weekend, for example. When you buy my e-guide, you get my phone number, which is another thing that I think separates me from other YouTubers. Okay, so we're talking this weekend, and we talk about anything under the sun, my members and I. But we're talking about, not only is this a time in the market that you should be, weary of, because we have, we're using some significant margin leverage. But how can we get ahead of this market and still outperform, okay, in the process? So when we're using dividends like this, again, we're using leverage, 465,000 of margin leverage. These dividends pay back so fast that there's really not a risk for me to reach a margin call, okay? So not only is our available withdrawal high, because we have low maintenance names, okay, I constantly pound the table on that. And, Yieldmax, for example, is 50% maintenance. And this is the key to everything. And once again, I was at this conference, and I noticed that a lot of people didn't even know about maintenance, okay? Maintenance is the key to everything. A lot of fund managers didn't know about maintenance, okay? I have so much to share with you all, okay? It's just going to be, I think, a great show, because we're going to assess whether or not we should be truly panicking in this market. But I'm also going to show you how I survive, and I think how I differentiate myself from other YouTube channels. And, other YouTube channels are great. All these guys that I met are great. But ultimately, I want to live free out of my account, and all of my members know that about me. I think that's why they follow me so closely. It's because we're on this journey together, okay, to live, financially free out of our brokerage accounts. And again, I'm close with all of my members. You can call me anytime. Okay, a lot of people don't believe that that's true, but again, you just email me, I send you my e-guides, you get my number, and you get Discord for free. Okay, this chat room right here. That's where we're just at, okay? So, and I have a portfolio recap channel. We talk about the videos here in the portfolio recap channel, and you have tons of other channels. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So we have 50% maintenance here for Yieldmax. And so I have to keep Yieldmax small, as I always say. I mean, yeah, we have great dividends, 50% dividends. And I noticed a lot of people at the conference weren't talking about Yieldmax. They weren't talking about maintenance, of course. And they weren't talking about Yieldmax or Defiance or Granite Shares. Okay. And big thanks to Granite Shares for inviting me to Vegas and giving me those great opportunities to meet other people. They introduced me to a lot of great people, and they threw some great dinners. Okay, they had some incredible events, and I had a great time, and I can't thank them enough. I've thanked them on Twitter, and I've showed some of my results, some of my findings, some of my experiences on Twitter. You can see my pictures and all those updates or whatever. You can follow me at Twitter anytime, okay? At Todd Aiken, UWI, Unconventional Wealth Ideas. All right, I give you just, my day-to-day thoughts here on Twitter. Of course, my members know I have an SMS text service where I alert you of the most important things in my portfolio. But here on Twitter, if you just follow me here, you can see my day-to-day thoughts. And Twitter's where I will be updating those little things in my portfolio if I can't do a video on YouTube. All right, so follow me there on X, Unconventional Wealth Ideas. All right, estimated income, once again, $630,000. All right, so it's paying back our debt so fast that there's really not a lot of risk to this strategy. Now, the rest of my leverage here, first of all, I've negotiated my rates down twice, okay? So if you're wondering about my margin interest, a lot of people ask about that. Obviously, I've negotiated down twice, okay? It's around 5%, a little under 5%, I believe now. Many of my clients who bought my e-guides did the same thing, I always say, because when you call me, you get my phone number. And I text you the script, okay, whenever you need to negotiate your rates down. All right, we're going to get into the chat. I'm going to answer questions. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'll share with you like what else I've found out in Vegas, some interesting findings, okay, including what Will was telling me he could do for Granite Shares, and to make things a little easier for investors. I'll share with you that again at the end of the video. So is it time to panic? Okay, if you go to an S&P chart here, we can go to this one, or we can go to Pro, so it's a little easier on your eyes. All right, and here you can see some of my portfolio. But if you ever want to see my total portfolio, just go to memberships on YouTube, and you can see my entire portfolio there. That's what over 500 members of my Discord community have done. They've joined that live service, and it's how I stay on top of the market. It's the nitty-gritty of everything I do with margin and maintenance, okay? And by the way, just to finish that point on maintenance, which we were at before, Yieldmax is 50% maintenance, and I can't stress this enough. You have to keep your maintenance low if you want to survive a down market with Yieldmax, okay? If you have margin and Yieldmax, you need to have low maintenance, okay? And so that's why most of my funds are anchored in things other than Yieldmax. TJ, are you doing good, buddy? Okay. So that way I keep my available withdrawal high, okay? If you need help with maintenance, that's in my Volume 3 e-guide, okay? People always ask me about maintenance, and again, no one really knows about it, but that's Volume 3, okay? So I have 6 e-guides. How to live financially free out of your account using margin is my 3rd e-guide. So keep your maintenance low, okay? And make sure you're anchoring with funds that are totally indexed, okay? Because YMAG is not totally indexed. As you can see, YMAG on, let's say, Friday, let's go look at what YMAG did. It was down 2.79, and the NASDAQ was down 2.7. So not too bad. Sometimes YMAG has even bigger deviations than that because the volatility is so large due to the fact that it's so, there's only, 7 names in it. So you need broad diversification if you want to survive down markets, okay, with margin. But even without margin, you want diversification because who wants to lose performance unnecessarily? I can get 50% dividends anywhere. Okay, why do I have to get it from YMAG? Okay, if it's going to fall so hard. So I keep YMAG as a smaller percentage of my portfolio because not only is it more volatile, but it's 50% maintenance. And that's a reason why it's 50% maintenance. At E-Trade, they make the maintenance, I think, a little high, but it's okay. It's actually helps keep you responsible. You can go to other brokers with lower maintenance, but they might not have the special drip for Cornerstone, as I always say. We get the 20% dividend in Cornerstone, and we drip it down at the NAV for 20% gains every month. We need to do a check on Cornerstone, by the way. I always keep the Cornerstone tab open here. First of all, Cornerstone, 4-star fund still, as you can see. It goes between 4 and 5-star. But I also keep the premiums up, okay? So we're getting 16% gains now every month on top of the 20% dividend in Cornerstone. That's why it's so special. 4-star fund, it is the entire index. It has a 20% dividend, and you drip it down in the NAV for 16% gains, again, every month. In CRF, you get 18.7% gains every month. So, this is a 30% maintenance fund. That's also why Cornerstone's so special. But we have sized out of a lot of it recently because obviously it had its N2 filing, which we alerted everyone of in the Discord chat room. So that's how I kept my performance so high. It was because we got the Discord, alert. Okay, in this Discord chat room, you can see up here. If I can find a way to scroll up, you can see announcement only. This. RO announcement only section, we got the alert right here for the N2 filing. So, that helped us outperform this market because we sold, ahead of that. Okay. Cornerstone, no one knew about that at the conference either. I was pretty surprised. But CRF, it's one of the largest closed-end funds in the world. Okay. If not the largest. I remember a couple of years ago, it was the first or second largest. So here it's had its N2 filing alert right here, okay? Even if you didn't get the alert, if you play the premium thresholds right, you can still know to time that like we did, okay? And that's in my Volume 4 e-guide if you need help playing Cornerstone. This is what I anchor most of my portfolio to. This is how I got ahead. I have $1 million account, as you can see in my, account value here. And I noticed, not a lot of other... I know not a lot of other channels don't have similar accounts. I know we have the guy from Canada, but he doesn't preach a total fire lifestyle like I do. Okay, I can take my E-Trade card, I swipe it wherever I want to go. Okay, when I went to Vegas, yes, Granite Shares and Michael Gaida, I'm so thankful for him too. They paid for a lot of stuff, but I can also buy whatever I want with my E-Trade checking card. It acts just like a credit card or a debit card. And then I add to my margin, okay, but then my dividends just pay it back at the end of the month, okay? $627,000. We just got our dividends this weekend, which were about $11,000. They dropped a little bit. We were at $670, now they're at $620. I guess I could show you my dividends, but it's a little bit more sensitive information. I trust my members more with that, so I show them all of my alerts when it's necessary. Again, just go to YouTube right here, and you just go to memberships right here, and then you can see my portfolio, okay? Or you can join Discord for $20 a month, okay? The portfolio is only $10 a month. It's nothing. And so this is how we're all staying ahead of the market. Most of my members are outperforming with me. They always outperform. Some of them do even a little bit better than me. Recently we had that Cornerstone move. And so I know a lot of my subscribers on YouTube, even some of my members were thrown off by that N2 filing because not everyone checks Discord. And so that's why I have that SMS alert text system now. So if you ever need urgent alerts, again, you have my text system, SMS. You just upgrade from 9 to 19 on memberships. All right, so Cornerstone, again, I have to mention it because that's how we outperformed. And so that freed up a lot of cash, okay? And so that also preserved a lot of my available withdrawal because I sold like 300,000 or 400,000 of Cornerstone. And again, no one knew about that at the conference. It's just amazing. I was like, have you ever heard of Cornerstone? All these guys. It was a huge conference, the largest in the world. And no one knew about Cornerstone. And it's, so we rode it all the way up to the top and sold most of it. I sold 90% roughly of it. Then I'm still owning some of it down here. Okay. If you're in Cornerstone right now, people always ask, what do I do right here? Do I buy more? Do I sell more? I've left a lot of ideas in the members videos, so go check that out in the live section. But that's currently how I've outperformed is with Cornerstone. And then I've kept Yieldmax smaller. And then I've used, Defiance to really anchor my portfolio. And I always pound the table on Defiance, okay? It fell less than the market on a down day, okay? People think there's erosion with Defiance, but there's not, okay? If you go factor back in dividends, of course, go look at the total returns for Defiance. We can go to their website if you want, but people, there are better graphics you can use for total returns. Like I had someone in my Discord chat room, I forgot his name. He gave a great true chart of Defiance with dividends factored back in. So Defiance really helps me outperform. Yeah, it looks like it's going down on its chart, but look, 2.49 it was down on Friday. 2.49. The Nasdaq was down 2.7. Okay, so if it's giving you the same returns as the index, if you go factor back in dividends, go check it out if you don't believe me, then I'm just going to get these huge dividends every month, and then these huge dividends pay back my margin leverage, okay? Also, Defiance is 30% maintenance, and that's why I have to anchor with Defiance so much, okay? Defiance and Cornerstone are both 30% maintenance. Again, if you're just joining this live now, if you need help with maintenance, that's in my Volume 3 e-guide. All right, I understand if you don't really know what I'm talking about when it comes to maintenance. But most of my viewers are quite savvy, okay? Even my YouTube, like my just general subscribers, they're pretty intelligent. They know that these traditional ETFs, like the JEPIs and all, those traditional VOOs of the world, they're great, okay, if you have a lot of money. A Schwab D, of course, they're great if you have a lot of money. But if you don't, then it's hard to make money in those and live financially free, okay? All right, so these are falling less than the market on a down day. And they have huge dividends, 47% dividends. They give us qualifying income to the banks for loans. So if I want a car, like the car that I got, I put it in my short videos. You can go check out my shorts at any time. Then I use my dividends to qualify. Same for a house. Again, you need 50,000 of 2 years, average 50,000 to qualify for a $300,000 house. And then the margin does not show up on a credit check to the banks. So I thought it was just a huge epiphany. I had a repentance of sorts. I keep that definition up here at all times because I learned about that. Repent means to change one's mind. All right, so everyone thought it meant to say sorry. I thought it meant to say sorry in the Bible, but it means to change one's mind. And then Book of John, God is principled, truth and spirit. Be renewed in knowledge daily is another Bible line. So I'm just going with the highest principles of investing. As I always say, we're buying the indexes. We're buying 4-star rated funds like Cornerstone, and then Defiance. I mean, how could I ignore this principle? Okay, the fact that it's down less than the market on a down day. All right, so I anchor a lot of my money to that. It gives me qualifying income to the banks for loans. How can I deny that principle? So the truth will set you free. Okay, it's weird how that all works out, huh? So again, 47% dividend, and it raises its dividend, okay, in a down market, which is important because, again, with Yieldmax, they lower their dividends in a down market. Okay, let me make sure that my chat and everything is still going. Make sure that this is all still rolling. Okay, quite a few questions. Okay, and I'm gonna get to all of y'all. Don't worry. All right, so this is just the highest truth to investing that I know of. Okay, dividends. All right, cash flow. Even if the stock is going down, 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 just like your house. The price of it goes down, as I always say. This is more of a real estate model to get ahead with investing. And many of my members in Discord are real estate investors who switched and flipped from real estate to investing because it's just so much more liquid. I've given videos, 10 to 20 reasons why, dividends on margin are so much better than real estate. Okay. And so this is, it doesn't matter if it's going down. If it goes to zero, it doesn't matter. Okay. First of all, they'll just do a reverse split. And again, people don't know about reverse splits. They think that's real. It's not. Okay. All right. It's cold in my house. So if you have a renter, 15 to 30 years of rent or a mortgage, again, we always know. That pays back your house in full, okay? If you're just seeing my videos for the first time now, or if you're just learning about real estate. So it doesn't matter if the house price goes down, 15 to 30 years, you pay it back, okay? It doesn't matter. You cash flow it. And, that's just a beautiful thing. And if they go to zero, then they'll just do a reverse split, okay? And reverse splits don't change anything. If anything, they just raise your maintenance. Because sometimes we'll fall to 50 to 100% maintenance if the stock price gets too low. If they reverse split it, well, then it just lowers the maintenance right back. Also, I sell options on Defiance, 20% maintenance, okay, if I sell naked options, all right? So that's how I also cut down a lot of my margin debt. As you can see here, this debt here, I always show my options. I don't show my full portfolio because I feel like that's for my members only, and there's just so much to show, and there's a lot to explain behind those moves. You don't want to just be buying those for no reason. They're all great, high quality funds, but to put it all together with leverage, you kind of want to have an idea with what you're doing. But also, that I just feel like it's one of the best portfolios in the world. I've outperformed the market for the last 2 or 3 years. We're up over 300%, if you remember some of my first videos that showed my graphics from the last 5 years of investing. So we are blowing away everything because of leverage, okay? And we just go with the indexes, and when you use leverage, then you're just going to do twice what the index does. So, but we're getting gains from 3 areas. We're getting dividends, we're getting capital gains, and obviously we're using leverage to get more of that. So I want best of both worlds. A lot of times you'll see that we're up huge. We outperform on up days. We did not outperform on this recent down day. And that's because we have Bitcoin. First of all, it's not showing the gains and losses over the weekend, but I was down about 5,000 in our Bitcoin puts. But, Bitcoin for me is what lowered my margin by about 100,000. And then I used Defiance here. Here's QQQY, for example, up top. Right here, 2,500, 1,500, I lowered my margin by that time. I used to have way more in QQY, and I lowered my margin by about 20,000 with it. And I lowered my risk, and I lowered my maintenance to 20%. Again, if you need help with maintenance, that's in my volume 3 e-guide. And if you need help with selling options the way that I do here, that's in my volume 6 e-guide. So these have lowered my margin significantly. If you have questions about them in the chat, let me know. They've lowered my margin and they've lowered my risk, okay? Everyone's playing Bitcoin and all these different funds at market prices. I'm playing with them down, way below market prices, 50% below in some cases. If you just factor back in my premiums, take the strike minus the premiums, you see my true cost basis. So I use all of these components to get ahead, lower my volatility. I could have lost way more if I was in Bitcoin outright on Friday, but I have these sold options instead. They lower my risk, they lower my volatility, and they lower my margin. So that's the genius of selling put options. Warren Buffett sells put options. So I had so many members ask me about these options and in the money, out of the money, why do you do all this stuff? So I wrote the e-guides in a very simple language. So If you need help selling put options, once again, that's in volume 6. Volume 5 is how I hedge, okay? And Cornerstone, I've been boxing that a little bit. You can see I still have some box shares left of Cornerstone, which also lowered my maintenance significantly. That lowers your maintenance to 5%, which preserves so much of my equity. I know I'm saying all this stuff and I'm getting way over your head, but this is how I'm outperforming. If you're new to this channel, this might be way over your head. But anyway, we can just stick to the basics, all right? So back to the charts of the S&P 500. Look, we have a break of the 200, which some people would say is alarming, okay? That typically is. However, we have to have a retesting phase. We had a big move up recently. This could be considered healthy, but this needs to hold. If we retest these lows here and make new lows, well, that doesn't bode well. The next support area would be this area, okay, on the S&P 500, which is down in the 520 level. So 555, if I did my math, 555 to 520, what is that downside? But I don't care about my downside, because I know that at the conference, a lot of guys, one guy I'm going to have on the show, we'll do a podcast together. He has a fund where it just doesn't have much of a drawdown. He has an algorithm that shorts the problematic areas of the S&P. And then the long areas do well, they outperform. And then therefore, when the market goes up, they go up with the market. But there wasn't that initial drawdown to take performance out. Well, and another guy that I know, he has an algorithm that tells him when to sell everything. But what I used was my own little algorithm, and it wasn't that at all. It was just using Cornerstone to our advantage, using that N2 filing system. Okay, playing the premium thresholds tells us when to sell the indexes, because Cornerstone is the index. So that's what made me unload in a lot of things. But then I still have a lot of exposure. I mean, we lost $37,000 on Friday. So, how am I dealing with this? How am I going to manage my account going forward? Well, it's just not a worry to me. First of all, I have 5 key points for you all to consider. Once again, I don't know if I said that at the beginning of the video, but first, I was going to use Bitcoin at the end, but I went ahead and showed you Bitcoin. And I showed you that even though that added to some of our losses on Friday, it was still less than most people are exposed to Bitcoin with. And that still lowered our margin. It still serves a big purpose. That saves us, on $100,000 of leverage, 10% would be $10,000. So this saves me about $6,000 of interest, roughly, of margin interest. That's about $500 of interest payments every month. Okay, not bad, just for selling those Bitcoin puts and lowering my risk. They do suck up a lot of your available withdrawal, those Bitcoin puts. So be aware of that. Defiance lowers it to 20, but Bitcoin is obviously high maintenance. So we lost a lot of money on Friday. We're down 2.46. The NASDAQ was down 2.7. But when you factor back in my margin leverage, I was down something like 3 point something percent. And that's, again, why my performance took a slip, took a hit. We've had some slippage. Here it is, 7.86%. But we're still in between the S&P and the NASDAQ. Okay, so that's exactly what I want. Okay, we're beating the Russell as well, of course. So even with leverage, we're still beating the NASDAQ, which most of my investments are NASDAQ based. QQI is the NASDAQ, but it falls less than the market, as I already laid out. All right, so I'm going to take a quick break, and look at the chat and see what everyone's saying. But so far, I have 5 points for y'all to consider, and I've already given a wealth, just a ton of information today, I think. But one of my points was I wanted to say that my available withdrawal is still high during this correction. So is it time to panic with Yieldmax? No, not for me, because I've kept my available withdrawal high. Okay, and many of my members know to stay with low maintenance. If you have to go to another broker to lower your maintenance, if you're really in a pinch, I understand. You won't get the special drip for Cornerstone, maybe, like if you go to IBKR, but you're gonna raise a lot of your available withdrawal if you do that. And the premiums aren't huge for Cornerstone right now, after all, anyway. So that was, that's one of my aces in the hole if I have to. But another thing we mentioned were the charts. I showed you the charts. Yes, we broke the 200 on the S&P. We got above the 200, and that was very bullish. But now we've since broken it, and so that is we've broken it. That's bearish, but we could be at a retest level to make a higher high and higher low off that chart, as you saw. So we need to see what happens Monday. This is we're on the fence area, back in the I wouldn't even say eye of the storm. We're just right on the fence, okay? And this is do or die time. And but we've already pulled back 10% in the market. S&P and NASDAQ, they pulled back 10%. So even if you're wrong in where you buy, I made a tweet saying that I never worry about the market. Everyone's scared right now. That's when I tend to go bullish. Even if you're wrong, the dividends are going to cash flow you over time. And you're still going to tend to outperform because the margin is paid down so fast that your leverage goes away, and then you keep outperforming as your leverage goes away. As the market falls, you just fall by a function of the index instead of the index plus your leverage. So that was a key point. Margin maintenance is low, okay, so available for withdrawal is high. All right, second point, the indexes, we broke the 200 on the S&P, but we're still at a higher high and higher low position from the last low. So we're on the fence. There's some hope for optimism, but there could be another leg down. So we need to be therefore ready with our insurance. Okay, so we need to be ready with our low maintenance names, but we also need to be ready with our insurance. I have Cornerstone boxed. If you need help boxing Cornerstone, that's in my Volume 5 e-guide. Although I hear it's hard to short Cornerstone right now. Many of my members, I think, sold all the short shares, and they're hard to find now. But we were doing that very heavy. I know some of my members have completely boxed their entire Cornerstone position, so there's just no market risk right now. Their available withdrawal is extremely high. And that could be a good thing right now in this market. And I wouldn't sell those shares yet until the RO is finished. Every closed-end fund most closed-end funds have rights offerings. Cornerstone's no different. It's not like Cornerstone's some unique unicorn, although it is special in that it is high. It's highly rated, and it does the drip at NAV. No other closed-end fund does that. It allows us to buy the lows of the market. Okay, and dollar cost average at the lows. Okay, so we have to be ready with maintenance. We have to be ready with insurance. And my insurance available withdrawal right here, it's $180, but I have $100,000 of margin debt that is short. So those are 100% maintenance names a lot of times too, those shorts, 50 to 100%. So that's going to raise back 50 to 100 grand of available withdrawal. So I won't reach a margin call. As long as I'm not at a margin call, I don't care what happens. Okay, I was telling you at the conference, people were trying to time the market and sell out at the highs. That's good for them. Warren Buffett doesn't time the market, okay? Warren Buffett, he always stays invested, and he keeps his portfolio the way that it is. He just buys more on dips. And so he's the best ever, so I go with Warren Buffett. I know you can be a hot shot and trade your way out of market highs and lows, but I just stay with the indexes. I live and die with the indexes. That's what I said in this Bloomberg article. Okay, it's locked, I guess, now, but I remember that's what they quoted me on. This is the Trillions podcast, which, by the way, I saw Eric Valanciunas at the conference a couple times. I think I did one interview with him there, and I don't know, maybe that he said that soundbite will go in one of his next pieces, but I did an interview with another Bloomberg person, Vildana, okay, she's great. I saw her at the conference as well, and she quoted me and showed my name in that article. If you want to see it, it's on my Twitter page somewhere, and on YouTube. It's definitely on YouTube. But I said I live and die with the indexes. Okay, I went all the way around and told you that whole little backstory just to tell you that I live and die with the indexes. I apologize, but some people might want to know that there's a significant amount of credibility that is associated with my channel now. You know, a lot of people think I'm reckless with margin. I don't think so. Again, when you look at my margin, first of all, I can sell at any time. I can sell any of my stocks at any time and my margin is gone. All right, 100,000 is short, okay? That'll raise back another 100,000 available for withdrawal. I don't care what happens to the market, because if the market falls, well, then I'm just falling with the indexes, okay? And then I'm going to make a lot of money on those short ETFs. Okay, I have Yieldmax shorts, which we have our longs. We have Tesla, and we have, let's just go to Yieldmax here. We have, of course, Tesla, Coney, and Nvidia, right? But we also have the shorts of those, which is, Tesla, you have crash. For Coney, you have fiat. For Nvidia, you have dips. For QQQY, you have YQQQ. And then you have winter for Misty now. And I alerted that on X. So again, follow me on Twitter if you're just now seeing this live, because this is where I do little updates here and there. All right, so we're at 1159, okay, followers, which is nothing, okay, 1163, okay. So I hope that, you know, by the time most people watch this video, that they go over to Twitter if they use that and they follow this. Even if you don't use Twitter, you might want to follow me here, because this is how I get my information out if I can't get it out through a YouTube video. Again, we're all on this journey together, okay? And we're in this to not only beat the markets, or at least go with the indexes roughly, but to live financially free out of our brokerage accounts. And a lot of people are scared of margin and they think it's taboo, but when you look at my margin, okay, take 465. Of course, it's really 565 if you count my bit X, okay? So my leverage is around 565,000, okay? You have to count options once again. So of that 565, 100,000 is short. So we're at 465. Okay, that's how you see 465. Okay, now of this 465, what else is in here? Well, I have 200,000 of blue chip stocks, defensive stocks. We have like about 100,000. Okay, if you go through these stocks here, you see on Friday, for example, they were up once again. I've been pounding the table on these defensive stocks. Okay, like Johnson & Johnson, ConAgra, okay, Kimberly-Clark, okay. Look at the gains that we've had in these recently, okay, 14%, 15%, 9%. I used to have these at a bigger part of the portfolio, but they've had big gains, so I cut them down, and I leave them in the smaller section of the portfolio here, my $1,000 section. So we have staples, and then we have small amounts in these like really risky Yieldmax names like Square and stuff like that. Small amounts here, not one can take me down. But then we have, again, these other defensive names, which, as you can see, these are not defensive, by the way. This is, I wouldn't say defensive. I meant to say blue chip names. We have these other blue chip names. Some of them are defensive, okay? Like some of them are meant to be like DUK, that's utilities. So we know utilities was up. We know Lamb Wesson's the potato maker, the French fry maker. These are all indexed. These are not just random stocks, okay? They're either bellwethers in their sectors, and there's only 10 sectors in the market. They're either bellwethers in their sector, or they are a large part of the indexes. And so I like to have these as the parts that you can't get exposure to with our index ETFs, because most of those are dominated by tech. So you can see that some of them are down significantly, but I'm going with these losses because they are, again, a large part of the indexes. And if I need to, okay, I'm going to sell half of them. So like Home Depot, Procter & Gamble. Look, here's Granite Shares. I wanted to point this out. I was going to do another video on Granite Shares. Navy's looking at me and she needs to go outside. This was actually up. Look at that, 0.35, and it pays you a huge dividend. So thank you to Granite Shares for that. Okay, I was going to maybe tweet something about that just to say thank you for bringing this to the public. All right. And thank you Defiance for bringing your vehicle. Thank you everybody. Okay, even Yieldmax. I just don't tend to thank Yieldmax as much because they didn't look out for me and invite me and go to bat for me like Granite Shares did. Okay, they really found me and seemed to appreciate me And I'm so glad to have, again, met those friends for life. I hope they're watching this YouTube live, those other YouTube guys. Because other than that, it's just been me and my members as my extended family. Without y'all, without my YouTube community, this would be such a lonely process, okay? It's lonely at the top. My family, it doesn't even like talking about this stuff. You'd be amazed. You would think they'd all be following me into this. Only my mom and dad do it with me. My brothers and sisters do not, for some strange reason. But anyway, I have 200,000, okay, of top quality. Like if you get into these index funds here, they stop there, okay? This is where my funds stop. TJ, can you please stop playing on the stairs, sir? Go ahead, take her outside, okay? Thank you. This is a very dangerous house, okay? And he's shifting around a lot. Okay, it's got 3 stories. It's wooden floors. I'm already petrified that he's on the stairs with her. We have Costco and Nvidia, but look, Costco is a staple. It's in the XLP top holding. United Healthcare, this is defensive. So look, it was up on Friday. All right, so was Eli Lilly. Healthcare was up. Utilities were up, and NextEra right there, utilities once again. Even Granite Shares, TSYY. So I can sell these at any time and lower my margin by a significant amount, by 200,000. Okay, so my margin leverage is not even associated with, big time tech necessarily. Yes, you saw that I did add in Nvidia and Broadcom, but that's because if you go to the holdings of the S&P, you see obviously Broadcom is top 10 for the S&P, and in the NASDAQ, same, top 10. I apologize for all those little alerts. That's Discord. It's a very active Discord, okay? And we're all here for each other, all right? They're very responsive. If you ever have questions about your brokerage account that I can't answer, they most likely can, because there's so many other investors here from all over the world, okay? If you're an international investor or a Canadian investor, we have a Canadian channel for you. And again, most of these members are very helpful. This is like a gold mine, all this kind of information in this Discord chat room. How to live free, how to use loans to get ahead, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, life hacks, you can see down here. So sometimes I look at that stuff myself. All right, we all help each other get ahead. But for the most part, I just bury my head in the sand, okay? And the media is all saying one thing, people are all saying one thing. I do another. TJ, are you still on the stairs, buddy? Just come upstairs. It's okay. Let her do her thing. Just come on up. Come on up, buddy. That's fine. Just leave her alone, okay? And you can go sit too, buddy, if you don't mind, okay? All right. Go. He wants to try to be defiant on the live, I see. Uh-huh. Okay. All right. So I like to include him in everything. All right. I brought him on the trip. You can see I should upload some of those pictures. I think I did do one. I brought him on my trip, and there's a picture with Ari, and where is it at? There's that dinner. That's Michael Gaid. Just something art. Call that art. What he was doing there. Something. To demonstrate his sentiment of the market right now. These are the guys that I was starting to follow. I was retweeting some things, but there's TJ right there. He met Ari Marcos, and that's Tim right there from Blossom. Let me know if y'all want me to start this Blossom thing so you can watch my portfolio, but I think that I'm keeping it with my members because my members, we have a much more interactive session in our private sessions. And I'm not sure if Blossom would accomplish the same thing for me, but I haven't talked fully with them, but if it works for me, if it works for both parties, I'll be doing that. So look out for that. All right, now I'm going to get to the questions. I'm going to put it on a dark screen so it's easy on the eyes. Well, actually, I can't do it like that, but I'll bring this camera up. Let me see. Okay, and let me see if I can get the chat going this way. Oh, no. Okay, well, I was just trying to make it easy on your eyes, but okay, I apologize. So let me just get to some of these comments, and I have one or two more points to make for you. One when it comes to shorting, okay, we're going to get into the options, how I buy options, all right? And then I'll share with you that last thing that I did, that, that key piece of information that I got from Granite, okay, from the conference. I apologize if there's noise or distractions in the background with Navy. Hey, Frosty. Hey, Siler, once again. Can we see Navy? Got you there. Hey, Beast. Yeah, I'm so glad you could catch it live, okay? You can watch my live videos at any time afterwards, okay? I try to do this at a time on the weekend where everyone could watch and join. But yeah, it's not like this is a trading thing. People are like, I don't have time for your live. Some people, they don't understand. It's not that. It's just you can watch them at any time, okay? You can find them over here. Here are my live videos. You can watch them at any time. There's Navy as well, by the way. So there they are there. And I have, videos on how I got loans. I do a lot of the nitty-gritty stuff once again there. All right, so back to, let me just get to the performance. If you're just joining now, we're in between the S&P and the NASDAQ. S&P 6%, NASDAQ 12%. We're down 7%, even with over 500,000 of leverage, 565. You see 465 because my sold Bitcoin puts knocked it down by 100,000, and it lowered my risk and everything, my volatility, as I've been saying in the process. That's volume 6 if you need help with selling options. So we have 465 in debt. We're outperforming the indexes through keeping low maintenance, which I mentioned. Yieldmax is high maintenance, but I've been anchoring with things like Cornerstone, which is volume 4 if you need help with Cornerstone, and using that to get ahead. And I have Defiance, which Defiance is very straightforward. You don't really need to do much for Defiance, except I like to drip on the dips with Defiance. And again, that's how we're preserving our equity, okay? And this is how we're living financially free out of our brokerage accounts. If you need help doing the same, email me for my e-guides at akintodd48@gmail.com. So I'm going to get to these comments. All right, I apologize. There's just so much to say. And then we'll get to the insurance, how I do insurance with options. I already told you about the short income ETFs with Yieldmax. That helps neutralize our losses while still collecting these huge dividends in the process. We know they're going to erode, so why not neutralize them anyway? And then use other longs to still get that performance, which you saw a little bit of with my stock section there. Like, well, I have a little bit of NVIDIA, because how else are we going to make money with NVIDIA if it's neutralized with dips? Okay, so hey Beast once again. Hey Jenny, Panda, good to see you. Amber, CBS, what's up? New face cam setup? No, same one. Hey Marcos, all right, I'm glad you could watch, Marcos. Yeah, I showed that picture, okay, and I'm so glad you got to meet TJ. And again, I have some good ideas for you. I can't wait to tell you about them. I'll call you probably tomorrow morning if that's cool. You're welcome, Frosty Dog. Hey, Amber. Good to see you. I don't know your name, but good to see you. You know what I'm saying. I'm highlighting your name right there, okay? JCB, the whole market is tanking. You just got to ride it out. Yeah, it definitely is. And, I live and die by the indexes, and we're using margin, but as long as we're staying with the indexes and we have unique things to offset the indexes, we have the leverage, we have obviously the shorts, 100,000, but then 200,000 of those staples names and defensive names, which a lot of them are in Schwab D, which I know Marcos is a big fan of. And I understand why, because Schwab D does really well, especially in a down market. And the total returns for Schwab D have been great once again. But you still need to live financially free out of your account somehow, or at least really boost your qualifying income in addition to your job, just to make life easier. And these dividends accomplish that. And not only do they accomplish that, but they help you not only live free out of your account or get ahead of in life easier, but with the qualifying income, but they help you outperform the market. Okay, you're gonna outperform the market if you just buy twice the market. Okay, yes, at first you're gonna go down as much as the market, but the market always comes back. If you do this with stocks and other things like that on margin, that's when you don't know if they're gonna come back. But the only stocks that I own are top weighted in the indexes. Okay, if you go look at Zacks, for example, and we go look at the top holdings of the S&P, you see that these are my stocks. I own all the Yieldmax and Granite Shares versions of these top stocks. Berkshire Hathaway we sold for a nice gain. My members know that. We have Eli Lilly, we have JP Morgan through Yieldmax, JPMO, we have Visa, we have Exxon through XOMO. We have all these top names. MasterCard I sold for a slight gain. But Visa we sold for a gain on Friday. And United Healthcare, top holding of the Dow. If you go to the Dow, like these are how I really do things. Look at Goldman Sachs, top holding, United Healthcare, top holding. So that's why it's a top holding in my portfolio. And, you know, that's why Schwab D is so good, because it has a lot of defensive names in it that have dividends and shield you in a down market. Okay. And that's why I think Marcos, it is a huge fan of Schwab D. But again, you have to, in my opinion, buy other things to get ahead with qualifying income and to pay your bills. All of my bills are automated out of my account. I use my E-Trade card. Again, I swipe to go wherever I want. And my bills just come out of here, and then my dividends pay it back. So I'm able to still outperform, still pay down my margin, and live free out of my account. Okay, my bills are only $5 to $6 grand a month. I don't spend much. 5% rule. I was just telling a member about that, a client on the phone. I say client. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm a personal trainer too, with basketball. I used to coach basketball. I play basketball. You can see my shorts. And, those are my clients too. So, but anyway, you have my number. You call me anytime. And we're talking about Schwab D, and how to get ahead. But you also need these other things to get ahead and get your dividends while also paying your bills. Okay, so the 5% rule is something that I kind of live by, I would suppose. I don't spend much. Material things don't make you happy. I follow the Bible, as y'all know, and it says, renounce the world. Go against the world. God or man can't have both. All this good stuff, and that stuff won't make you happy. So it's just keeping you broke if you keep buying nice things. And it really cuts into your margin plans. Margin makes you a better person. It makes you a sharper investor. It makes you get ahead in life. It's just the greatest thing ever, in my opinion. And it's lower rates than credit cards. Lower rates than my credit cards, at least. All right, so back to the comments. Okay, and I would love to read those Discord comments in a second. I have to get to these others on the video. Invest with Alex. Even Warren Buffett holds Misty. Does he really? I haven't checked his holdings lately. So once again, good seeing you, Marcos. I just want to say that once again. Okay, Noel, good to see you, Noel. All right, funnies. Should I wait to buy into CRM to the NAV price? Okay, we'll get to that at the end of the video. Funnies. Sonia, am I saying that right? No dates yet. Last time it was announced April 8th, 2022. Yeah, we'll get into Cornerstone once again. Sonia, I hope I'm not saying her name wrong. She's a very savvy investor, and I love when she comments on my videos because it makes the discussion around it elevated, and she brings a lot of value to those to the YouTube community as a whole. So thanks, Sonia. And tell me if I'm not saying her name right and I'm butchering her name. Eric, Misty shares 23 cost basis. Yeah, love Misty, and I have Crash. For Misty we have Winter to offset that. Okay, and then you can sell puts. There's so many other things you can do with Misty to get ahead. Okay, I've been buying other funds that have Misty exposure, for example, with lower maintenance than Misty itself. We'll get into that in another video. A grateful man. Misty for me is 103% with the current 66 yield. FCSO is second at 38%. Are you talking about maintenance, a grateful man? 103% XI. Just let me know what you're saying. You're talking about the yields, I think, a grateful man. Thank you. Hey, Aaron. Eric, Bobo's underrated. Yep, definitely own Bobo. We've made a lot of money in Bobo. I had a big position in it. You know, my highest stock position, you know, like 4,000 is where I keep those stocks. And we've been, you know, trimming out of it, you know, when it was just ripping higher. Oh, Todd's getting cooked, sell Cornerstone. This guy, I've learned over the years, the almost 2 years I've been doing YouTube, that he has a weird sense of humor. But I love you, Shill, okay? And I wouldn't say that, but you can see by that chart it's gone down. But again, we got alerted of that in the Discord chat room, okay? Yeah, and that's how we can keep it easier on the eyes, by the way. In this Discord chat room, let me see the stream. Again, we got the alert here, okay, Shill? So I hope you are aware of that, all right? And that when you have this, then you can sell at the highs, okay? And near the highs, we sold about 3% away from the highs. I saw the alert down 1%, and I was kind of in disbelief that the whole thing worked so beautifully. And members were texting me, oh man, is it time to sell it? And I was like, no, I never do what the crowd says. I always go the opposite of the crowd. But then I double checked my eyes and it was like, yes, this really is the N2 filing, okay? Which, you know, precedes the RO, which you don't need to be aware of the N2 necessarily. You just need to be aware of the price action when the N2 happens. And I saw the price action getting a little elevated to the downside, and I was like, you know what, with all the people that are aware of this and the big players that I have in my Discord chat room with Cornerstone, including one of my admin, Hashor, who is much more affluent and savvy with Cornerstone, maybe, perhaps, not definitely. He is more affluent and wealthy than me. He's a very successful man, but as far as savviness goes, he's a very savvy investor. I'm not even trying to say that, by the way. I just want to say that I have my own unique approach to it. Okay, I know he was doing things differently, for example, during the N2, and there are many strategies you can use with Cornerstone. Okay, there's not just one strategy. So, Hashor, you are the man. Don't let anyone, or don't let me say otherwise. I just don't want you to think anything other than the fact that I love you so much, Hashor, and you're one of my original admin and first people, in this Discord chat room. He's an honorary member who I brought in from Seeking Alpha. So we have a lot of great talent in this Discord chat room. Emma, hello. Eric, curious if you have any regular splits on any of their ETFs. Only aware of Tesla, Eric. I know that Defiance had reverse splits, and when they did the reverse splits, then I sold put options like crazy because there were great premiums, and it lowered my margin by a ton, and we ended up getting out of those for a great gain. Selling puts is just the best way to make money, in my opinion. It's like buying stocks with on training wheels. You get so much more room for error, okay? And if you get a sign at the lows, then you just get a sign in these great dividend-paying funds that make you more income going up. Sonia, last time closing day was extended a couple weeks, but usually end of May. Yeah, selling may go away. They try to do these things even around, the times of market volatility. And, French bulldogs, they have small bladders, so they have to go outside all the time. And this is a crazy house, like with stairs and stuff, and it's just impossible sometimes. Seeking Alpha Premium has the best charts for total returns. Oh, okay, Marcos, thank you for that. Yeah, I've never looked at the charts. I guess I am a premium member, but I don't really use their charts much. I definitely should. Again, everyone check out Marcos's videos if you ever get a chance on his channel. He has some great videos on Schwab D, of course, and he has other ETFs that he covers. So, boss, question, is using inverse funds during a down market a good strategy to help minimize losses? Of course, I think using inverse funds and a down market are a good strategy. Absolutely. I mean, we have 100 grand of leverage on, and I think maybe you already wrote that comment. I think you wrote that before I mentioned the short. So, great minds think alike, boss. Emma, so do we stay out until the rights offering? Many people do. I buy at all times, Emma. There are 4 different strategies. Again, I would say look at my volume 4 e-guide, but also check out our Discord, see what everyone else says here, on Cornerstone. Okay, this is the discussion part of Cornerstone, and you can see this is where all the good stuff is. Okay, and there are many ways to play Cornerstone, and so I wouldn't say it's not a one shoe fits all. There's a way to do it for every circumstance. Let me just get this chat up. Okay, so Emma, I would say use volume 4 or this Discord to really finalize your decision. Okay, Sonia, I am okay. Good. Make sure I'm saying your name right as well. Okay. Kelly, happy Saturday. Hey, Mike. I hope Mike starts his channel one day, because that way you'll see margin on steroids, okay? Honorable investing. Hey, good to see you. Snarky, it's funny how Todd thinks that his strategy works for everyone when he ignores the balance he's working with. At this point, these videos are as funny as Kimmers, who now blocks comments. Well, hey, snarky guy. Oh, man, I would love for you to tell me more about your strategy, okay, and what works for you. I think this strategy does work for everyone, by the way, because how could you go wrong if you just use a small amount of margin? And I'm using a small amount of margin. I know you see 565, but 100,000 of that is short, okay? 200,000 of that are blue chip defensive names with dividends that are basically in Schwab D, which again, my buddy Marcos talks a lot about. Go check that out if you're not aware of Schwab D. Okay, Navy. Hang on, I gotta get Navy. All right, here's Navy once again. She's a little rascal. All right, but she's a great dog. Hey, girl. Okay. All right, stay here. Okay. So yeah, snarky guy, it's working for me. Okay, if you don't use too much margin, then how could it be a risk when your dividends pay it back? You're just going with the indexes at that point, snarky guy. So come on, please bring it today, snarky. We're doing this live. I'm planning on staying here for a while. I got more points to make. I have 2 more points about the shorts, and I have some key findings from from the conference with Granite Shares, and I'm here for a while. Okay, I have to get to all these comments, so please, snarky guy, let me know what you're thinking. Tell me more, please, because we're still outperforming the NASDAQ. And again, if you buy margin, you use margin small, you stick with the indexes, how can you lose? All right, please respond. Mike Stu, so you're actually more leveraged than it appears because of selling options. That's right, Mike. I appreciate you playing devil's advocate, brother. I mean, we went to school together. He's like my best friend outside of, he was my friend before YouTube. So exactly, but I'm glad you raised that point. BitX, I'm controlling BitX at a much lower level, okay? And then the 100,000 that you are seeing, that is margin leverage that it's been paying for. Well, that is all like the top quality, 10,000 in, the Jeppies of the world, okay? Index-related funds that are single leveraged with traditional dividends that are an insurance policy against closed-end funds and these newer funds like Yieldmax, Granite Shares, Defiance. All right, Schwab Ds of the world are in that. Now, I don't own Schwab D at this very moment because I own the stocks within Schwab D, all right? I've owned Schwab D plenty of times. And right now might be the time to go to Schwab D if we were in a major defensive environment. I don't think that we're going to a recession or anything because the jobs number is so good. Okay, we have such low unemployment, and 70% of the economy is consumer driven. 70% of the GDP, okay, is consumer driven. So if we all have jobs, we're going to keep consuming. If you're broke, we're just going to keep consuming on credit cards. That's why I like margin, because it's lower rate than a credit card. Just don't use too much margin. Obviously, you have to keep your available withdrawal high. which is that's maintenance, okay? And maintenance is the key to everything, okay? Which is volume 3 if you need help with maintenance. So great question, Mike. I appreciate that. DJ Striped, looking for good hedges. Yeah. Also, of course, you have well, that's what we're going to talk about in this towards the end of this video, Ape. So, great question, because we're going to get to that in 1 second. Hey, Joe, why sell Cornerstone now? Isn't the recent price due to a market condition? Well, I'm not selling Cornerstone now at this point. Now, I did do some selling on Friday. That's just because I had to sell wherever I could. I had to do some things to sell and not lose too much income. And then I had to redeploy that elsewhere, okay? And because Cornerstone is going through its rights offering period, we talked about that in the lives. There's a premium threshold you should be aware of right now with this market on this fence. What you should do with premiums right now. What happens if the market falls? What happens to those premiums? Like as a result, in relation to the rights offering, like there's just a lot to say with premiums. Okay, and this video is more about Yieldmax, and how to survive, a margin call, and if we should be panicking with Yieldmax. And again, I always tell people I keep Yieldmax small. I keep Defiance and Roundhill as a bigger part of my portfolio. Granite Shares, I'm going to start adding in more of them if they can do this one thing that I'm going to mention at the end of the video. Let me get to the end of the comments. Invest, Emma, you can get updates for Cornerstone by signing up for the Discord. Exactly, Emma. Thank you, Alex. Disco, Snarky Guy, what's a high balance to you? Been following Todd for years and his balance has gone up significantly. Thank you, Disco. Yeah, I'd like to find out because, again, if I use 100,000 of margin debt on my size account, that's 10%. And, that means that I pay it back in a couple of months, okay? I would say 2 months, okay? We're earning about 50,000 a month in dividends. So then the margin debt is gone. So where is the risk? All right, Sonia, do you hold QQY and IWI and WDT in what proportion? Yeah, Sonia, I do own those. I would have to go into the portfolio and look at those allocations. Those are, again, in my lives. If you ever want to see my portfolio, just go to memberships. And you can see all of the little, allocations. But there's a lot of holdings in there. There's a lot to cover. And I'd have to... I like to keep, gosh, if I can get this Discord, I like to keep those portfolio areas more private so that I can preserve my value and there we go. And, keep it more exclusive to my members because this is a very important thing we're doing. This is not only are we bringing in so much money to these fund managers that I've been doing these ETF videos for, we're bringing in millions, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to these because 1,000 views times $1,000. I mean, come on. Now, most of my members have more than $1,000. So this is and then we're getting ahead of the market and we're moving around all this money with all this margin. It's a very valuable service, and I think most of my members tell me it's too cheap. Okay, I'm sure they will comment on this if I ask them to. $10 a month is a joke. Okay, to follow me during all these ups and downs for how I get my loans, for how I deal with the rights offerings, for how I deal with ups and downs in the market, especially up markets. We tend to think that I'm just here for the down days and the emergencies for many of my members and the rights offerings, but how we've been getting the day's gains that outperform the market on up days, plus these 600,000 in dividends, is really, there's a lot of cool things you can learn from that too, of course. So check out, that membership service in YouTube if you want all of my allocations and the proportions. Emma, invest with Alex. I'm in Discord, just wanting confirmation. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, Emma, I would say if you're in Discord, just head over to my lives. Not everyone is in my lives. But also, if you're in my lives, well, then I would say, call me, Emma, and we would talk about just your unique situation. Because, you have to factor in a lot of things, your spending habits, what else is in your portfolio. So there's a lot of information that I would kind of need to answer your question specifically. And this is not advice that I would be giving. It's just more of what I would be doing in your shoes if you're me, and you can take it or leave it. Mike, LO worried, bro, we've been through some... Yes, that's right. Exactly. This is nothing. Okay. Shill, sell, dump, pump this dump this pump. Okay. I appreciate your opinion, Shill. SI, I just turned in. How is Vegas? I'll start over when complete. Thanks, Todd. Oh, you're welcome, SI. It was great. All right. I showed you some pictures from Vegas. Try to watch the whole thing. And I have more to come, obviously, from that. I just wanted to do sort of an emergency live since the market tanked on Friday. We broke the 200-day moving average. And a lot of my followers use Yieldmax, which is a bit volatile when you use margin. Okay. If you're not using margin, then Yieldmax is great. Okay. It's going to look bad on its chart, just like Defiance does, but factor back in dividends and you're up. Okay. I mean, just go look at some of these returns on the Yieldmax website, okay, if you don't believe me. I mean, Ulti was even up 11% before this recent fall, okay, but what is Ulti? Ulti is very volatile, but let me just see if there are some returns, some stats on their returns. Usually I have it right here, -5. I remember it was up 11, and I remember YMAX was up 37%. I'm sure that's changed. I remember Coney was up 100%, after a year, so you get 100% dividend and the 100% move up, so you can do powerful things with Yieldmax, but you have to do it properly. All right. Shill, alternatives to investing with Todd, open wallet, put money in toilet, flush. Man, Shill, you're really coming at me today with some, real vitriol, okay? And, I've seen you over the years. I don't know if it's your comedy or if it's your true belief, but if it's your true belief, then how could you say that when you see our performance beating the NASDAQ, okay? And, you've seen my performance last year. We blew away the NASDAQ. We were up 50% at one point, and we finished up in the 40s. Maybe it was high 30s, very, very high 30s, but it's hard to tell. I remember, every day this changes. When every year it goes by, that changes your performance, so it skews the results. But we're at 50% nonetheless, and we finished up, significantly, beating the indexes significantly. And many of my members did too. Go look at their comments if you don't believe them. Shill, just because now I know you're just a retard. I'm sorry, I shouldn't use that word. Just because I know you're a low character guy, okay? Man, I'm gonna block you next time, okay? That's it. All right, so this is nice knowing you, Shill. All right, hey Beast, showing portfolio on a non-member live. This is a non-member live, correct? Yes, Beast, but what I'm doing is I'm not showing my full portfolio. I'm not showing, where the whole million is. I'm just showing them where my leverage is, essentially, okay? My leverage, it's in a lot of these stocks. It's in a lot of those short income ETFs and stuff like that, which I don't mind disclosing. But the whole million, there's a real art to doing that. But I hope I'm glad that you said that, Beast, because I don't want to sound like I'm being stingy with the portfolio. I know members like you value the portfolio. Denali, Shill, an accomplice of a hawker, gambler, swindler who acts as an enthusiastic customer to entice. I know, right? And that's his name. The name checks out, Denali. I know, right? But sometimes he comes to me with a heart-to-heart moment. He's like, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. And I let him slide. But, you can't just be saying stuff like that, in public like this, if I choose to do a live, I wish anyone would try to talk against my ideas because, again, look at the performance. Look at what I've been doing for years. I've been on YouTube for years. Go look at my Europe videos in my shorts. I was losing 40 to 50,000 a day on a much smaller account in Europe, and I was still doing okay. And I remember Shill was thinking that I should be working at McDonald's then or something. So we're still here, Shill, and the account's pretty much doubled since then. Yes, I do use loans, but all of my loans, are fair game. Anyone should be trying to get loans to get ahead, okay? Loans do not affect my performance, okay? If I get loans and bring them into my account, then my performance is harder to grow, okay? So actually, the amount of growth I've been getting has been quite remarkable. And the loans, everyone should be trying to get once again. That's how I got ahead. I used many loans, okay? So, but of course, we got a 50% gain roughly last year. And the year before that, we were up 50%. If you remember the video, I said we're up 50%. Sell puts here, box Cornerstone here. That was buy puts. I'm sorry, not sell puts. And box Cornerstone here. That was the year before last. And then last year, I said once again, up 50%, time to sell. Okay, so I made sure to leverage those times that I was up 50%, just so that people like Shill would know. And to build more credibility, of course. Beast showing portfolio, right. So thanks for saying that, Beast. Yeah, we know that this is a valuable thing that we're doing here. Snarky Guy has had the same exact strategy since 100K. Right. I mean, that would make sense, Beast. I appreciate you. Beast, Sonia, he does, but the proportion is skewed because of margin. You should definitely become a member to see his full portfolio. Thank you so much, Beast. Thank you. I appreciate that, Beast. Jonathan, yes, please note what Beast says. Todd is the most disciplined investor I have seen. Thank you, Jonathan. It just warms my heart to have my members come out, and say hey and defend me. We're a pretty powerful group, in that live, in that private membership section. I mean, we could do a lot of things with that, and I'm just so glad that y'all came out and, in force and showed your support. Hey, Lance, TJ rocks. Okay, Lance, you rock too, man. I mean, that was a great conversation. I would just go ahead and say that was Lance I was talking to yesterday, one of my members. Again, you have my number. You call me anytime. And Lance, I think you want to do the portfolio review, right? One of the first members to do the portfolio review. So stay tuned for that, everyone. If y'all want to do a portfolio review live, you have questions about your portfolio, then I'll Zoom call you. I'm going to do maybe a toll-free number soon, but I'll Zoom call you. Just email me if you want to be in that portfolio review. And then I'll give you, I'll tell you the time and date for that Zoom call. Snarky Guy, agreed. Shill, watching the high leverage accounts sway in the current markets makes me glad I follow sound investing strategies, like not talking on margin. Yeah, Snarky Guy. Gosh, I mean, after this, I'm going to leave your comments up because, you just don't have any factual basis behind your points, so people can see you and know how ridiculous it sounds. But when you use a small amount of margin, again, it's very hard to lose. And all of the greats use leverage to get ahead. Okay, Elon Musk uses margin. Go look it up. Go look up, all of the great investors who, even Warren Buffett took loans. Okay, loans from his parents. Okay, so I don't care how you get loans, just get loans and pay them back. Okay. Thanks, Snarky Guy. Please, actually give me tell me why margin is dangerous, for example. Just say, what's risky about margin? Tell me, because the margin just disappears once your dividends come in. And then your account grows by the equivalent amount. That's how you grow. It's just like a house. You take equity out of your house, you fix up your house, then you put it back in your house, and the value of your house grows, okay? It's the same thing. Just don't take too much out. All right, Baron, do you diversify globally? Yes, I do, Baron. I have China, obviously, and I have some Europe, and we have, obviously stocks like miners, Brazil, the BRIC countries, okay? Good question, Baron. What would you say is a good equity to margin ratio? Being over-leveraged is an absolute no-no, right? Yes, over-leveraged, absolute no-no. I would say the percentages depend on various things, okay? You would need to call me so that we could talk about your expenses and things like that. Jason, why would you borrow against CRF CLM if VT is also indexed? Okay, VT also indexed. Just wondering because it's pretty much the same thing. Well, VT, I'm not sure what you mean, Jason, but CRF and CLM have the drip at NAV. You get 20. Well, now the premiums are lower, but you saw we were getting 37% gains, very recently, every month on top of the 20% dividends, and Cornerstone was going up on a chart, before the rights offering. You just play the premium thresholds right, which is in my Volume 4 e-guide. SP, is E-Trade the only broker that provides a card to link your margin account? Good question, SP. I'm not sure. I know Discord knows. We have a brokerage specifics channel here in Discord, okay? And you've seen that, SP, I believe. So go check out that brokerage specifics channel. Also, just, ask anyone. I'm sure Frosty or, Jetta would be happy to, point you in the right direction. Let me get that chat up again. I'm really enjoying this chat. Okay. Stark, do you reinvest a portion or all of your dividends to combat lowering yield when ETFs erode? Good question, Stark. I always reinvest my dividends. It's just a matter of when and where. And when I do, I need to look at certain things in the market, and that's what I talk about, ad nauseum in my private videos, okay? And you can catch them at any time, in YouTube over here, okay? Just because they're live doesn't mean you miss them. If you can't get around to them, you can just watch them later. So it's complicated, Stark, okay? Depends on a few things. If I think dripping dividends are a great way to get ahead, but if you drip at market highs, then you really elevate your risk, okay? And it affects your margin plan. So there's a few things that go into it. Check out those videos if you want. Beast, he only reinvests with Cornerstone. The other dividends pay back his margin. Correct. That's also true. So exactly because I don't drip. Not only do I not drip because of the reasons I just said, but there's no advantage to drip. That's another nuance that goes into the dripping. With Cornerstone, there is that you get an automatic profit every month. You can just sell it, if you just want to take those gains. So there's an advantage there with Cornerstone. Nothing else has that drip at NAV. And again, you need to look into your margin plans. You have to look at your sold options. There are a few things that you need to look into when looking at adding more margin to drip. Okay, and of course I don't drip outright. Of course I just said that, but when I drip, you have to look at a few things, as I was just trying to say. I'm not trying to be, I hope you don't think I'm trying to be too cryptic. It's just that I can't give outright advice to everyone. First of all, I'm not a financial advisor. But second of all, everyone is different, and there are just nuanced situations with every portfolio. So that's what Discord's so good for. You can get an idea, a consensus of what you're looking for. And that's what my phone number is good for. You call me, and we can get a better idea of both of our financial situations. Beast, he only reinvests, right. Beast, SP, good question. For the specifics on brokerage channel and Discord, if you're not in it, I assure you his Discord is worth it. A lot of people with low accounts and 2 million plus accounts. Thank you, Beast. Man, you're beasting these comments today, okay? Really appreciate that. Of course, you can call me as well, okay? Hey, Maui, aloha. How is your put options doing in this down market? Well, Maui, good to see you, brother. You saw in my live yesterday, they're up about 97%. Now, we're going to get to that in 1 second. I just want to finish these comments, and then I appreciate you for getting me back on track, Maui. Sonia, you're saying the name correct. All right, thank you so much. Okay. Well, yeah, I really appreciate that feedback, Sonia. Bubble, I'm sitting on cash right now. Do you think I should buy anything or don't want to buy if things will go lower? Hey, Bubble, well, that's a great question. It is the $1 million question. I would say call me. I see you're a member, Bubble, so if you have my number, call me, and we can talk about, the various scenarios, okay, that we should be looking at, okay, because it's kind of complicated. But that I generally don't like cash. I was telling Lance that. But some people like to have a 10% cash buffer and then go into margin. Some people like to not have any cash. Cash is trash in some people's minds. So call me, Bubble, okay? Call me or email me, okay? And we'll discuss more, okay? But you personally, just for me, I always keep margin. I never stay in cash because you lose to inflation with cash. Cash always goes down at Bubble. Thank you, Jonathan. DCA. Wayne, hey Wayne, good morning to you. Hope the weather's starting to get nicer up there, okay? It's certainly getting warmer in Houston now. Jason, why would you borrow against CRM CLF if it's index? Just wondering because there's so much, pretty much the same thing. Again, I don't know what VT is. We'll get into that in a little bit, but Cornerstone has that drip. Sell Coney or buy more. Okay, I see a member there. If someone just joined up top, thank you. I don't know what that alert was. I apologize for the gardening people outside. Sell Coney or buy more. $1,000,000 question. I always am prepared for both directions. I never market time in. See my membership videos if you want to see how I'm playing Coney, okay, with these dividends and the margin. I believe that the risk is neutralized to all the shills out there, okay. Purist, keep teaching, Todd. Thank you, Purist. Mercy, did you already cover Ulti not paying out? Mercy. I've heard maybe from someone saying that, but maybe it's just delayed. I don't know. I would check out our Discord. I'm sure they're all over that in Discord, okay? I noticed, that would make sense because my dividends were smaller. They were like 11,000 versus 15 when Ulti was so big. So maybe that was just delayed, a delayed payment of some sort, Mercy. But again, my Discord would know. I mean, do you want to go see if anyone's talking about that? Let's see. Yieldmax. Okay, let's just see. So Yieldmax Ultra option. So sure enough, announced. Okay, so someone got it. Someone messed up, but they announced it, and this is the date. Okay, Pinky hasn't received the payment. Winter's brand new, so they don't have the yield. So I would say that this is definitely happening, but we don't know why. They've confirmed it, thanks to Fox. Appreciate that information, Fox. But gosh, sorry. But maybe they just made a mistake. I'm sure they'll get that out, okay? Or huge lawsuits would come and stuff like that. Gosh, apologize for the noise. Hey, Major Sam. So good to see you. SP, I had a bulldog named Goo for 14 years. I love him forever. Hope you get many long, happy years with Navy. Yeah, and Navy, that's so nice, SP. What a long life. Great life, 14 years. Navy, that's short for Nav Drip with Cornerstone. I'm going to, make a shirt about it someday. And also she has like the blue eyes, So I thought it was a good way to get that Nav Drip in there somehow. Because that Nav Drip has been life-changing, hasn't it? Hey, Wayne, Sperati, I use Fidelity, does the same thing as E-Trade with a debit card. Great info, Wayne. So you want to beat Yieldmax, jab, buy the underlying stock, sell 5% of your holding every month on an up day, pay yourself divvy. I guarantee your total return will beat Yieldmax. I think you're right, Jab. I mean, like that's similar to Feet and 5e, how they do things a little bit. But that takes a lot of timing. I'd rather just buy more on dips, buy more on dips, buy more on dips. The stocks that you're talking about, you can buy the stock, but it's hard to make a lot of money, Jab, because you have to put a lot of money in the stock to make a lot of money. So the way I have my stocks, I don't put much money in them because they're going to take me down in a down market in a terrible way as well. Okay, so you can't have too much in stocks. You're going to get burned on the downside. You can only have small amounts. So I keep the small amounts as a whole, as like $100,000 or $200,000 whole, to where I know as a WHOLE as a whole, to where I can kind of predict on a 1% up day, 2 to 3% beta in those. Means that I'm going to be up 1 to 2 to 3,000 in those, and that's how I engineer my day's gains. Okay, but without losing big on the downside, I keep them small. And again, your strategy would require a lot of timing. I like that. If you have the time, I say go for it. But it's hard to make a lot of money with it going up, like a lot of money, unless you put a lot of money in stocks, which then can hurt you on the downside. Thanks for that comment, Jab. Isaac, hey Todd, watching this video while at work. Hey, thanks, Isaac. Don't get in trouble, okay? Maybe put it under the desk or something. But kudos to you for, getting income and working, supercharging your account, to get ahead. SP, thanks for all the info, Wayne. You bet. Thank you as well, Wayne. Sonia, I completely understand. I currently hold only IWY, but thinking of QQY, yeah, because the maintenance is lower. And at E-Trade, it's lower. It's 30%, and IWMY is 50%. Plus, it's a little less volatile, of course. Thank you, Wayne. Yeah, go away, Shill. But I'm sure I'm sure that he's heard this too many times, and I have a feeling he won't be. But I'm going to have to, again, block that guy. I told you. I don't like to block people if they're just erroneous, and we can clearly make them, it brings value to my channel when people make ridiculous arguments that have no merit. But when they're just getting downright negative, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, got to block them. Beast. Yep. Maui, just noticed this is a non-member, of course. Right. Oh, gotcha, Maui. Yes. So yeah, check out the video from yesterday. It was quite lengthy. I know that you're in a different time zone. Okay, all across the world. We have so many members. So yeah, check that one out, Maui. Gosh, the guy cranked it up again. Okay. So there are great BDCs that pay 15% or stable. I agree. The only reason why I don't like BDCs in a large way is because in a down market, they can really get hurt. But I do own some of them in small ways. And yeah, 15% is nice. I don't own any BDCs really at the moment, but I definitely have owned them all if they're high quality. GSBD is like a good example of one. Maybe name some tickers, M. I'll give you GBDC. We can go into even CLOs like, Oxford, OXLC. Dan. Okay. Jose, thanks, Todd, for all your help. I have 84K market value. Thanks for your strategy. Over 38K in divs. I know my portfolio is so small, but we're getting there. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely getting there, Jose. Congratulations. That's almost 40% yield there. Not too bad. Shill, no blocking, please. I was out of line. Well, hey, I appreciate that, Shill. Wow, you actually came in and apologized. That's so nice of you. Okay, I didn't think that YouTube shills would actually do such a thing. So maybe I'll keep you in the fold. That's exactly what you told me last time, and I think that's why we did this. I guess everyone, you just got to go with shill and let it just be some entertainment. All right, get your popcorn ready. Dan, so the crypto altcoin run is not going to happen. I don't think so. Yeah, well, crypto is so hard. So, I just go with Bitcoin itself. Altcoins are, I go with Maro maybe because that has a yield, and so you're going to win over time if you just hold long enough. But check out our Bitcoin. We have a big Bitcoin channel in Discord. Go check out Gaines. He's one of our admin. He's a great guy. Gaines is who installed the rights offering announcement, by the way. So big shout out to Gaines. He's my other admin, and you can see his portfolio here. Gaines, you can watch all of his stuff that he does, and they're very active with Bitcoin. Just in case you were not in that already, Dan. Snarky guy, are you a registered financial advisor? No, I'm not. I keep telling you, I am not a financial advisor. So I don't give advice. I only share what works for me. And if you want to follow it like on Blossom and private videos, or you want to call me and you want to compare notes, I'm always here. Kelly, there are always people who suck. Look through history. Todd is transparent on what he does and why he's doing it. Shill, how is that a problem? I don't understand you. Yeah, luckily, Shill, he's coming back. He's come back from the dark side, but we still got this snarky guy here. Again, I mean, I guess they choose these names. This is what they want. Maui, Todd, your service is invaluable. Don't waste your time on non-members like Shill. Just block and focus on those who value your time. Thank you so much, Maui. Mahalo, brother. Nick, I work at an RIA, and I can say I see many brokerage accounts that carry margin, and they are massive accounts. So margin definitely does work. Oh, well, look at that, Nick. Great comment. Obviously, Nick is a loyal member. He's been here for a while. Appreciate you so much, Nick. You see many brokerage accounts, once again, that carry margin, and they're massive. So margin does work. Yeah, and, E-Trade, I always, I have the E-Trade team that I work with, a platinum group, and I can call them and they run through my stuff, and they tell me personally that they've seen way riskier accounts than mine. Okay, plus mine's tied to the indexes, so, but they're using way more leverage than me. Thank you, Sully, for upgrading to Fire Portfolio and Discord. Thank you so much, Sully. You're gonna get my SMS text now too, so just email me, Sully, if you want to opt into those SMS text alerts. That's when anything important, really important, happens in my portfolio. All right, Kane, when do I drip? When I drip? Oh, are you going to finish what you're saying, Kane? Let me know. Or when do you drip? Please clarify. A grateful man. Oh gosh, it's so nice. It's not yelling. I don't have to yell anymore. Oh, man. By the way, I haven't eaten any today. I took a page out of Marcos's book and I tried to run today. Marcos ran 8 miles the other day with some of these other YouTube guys. I tried to just do like 30 minutes. It's tough. I play basketball. Running is difficult, but I need to eat, and I just wanted to do this live at a good time when everyone could get there, because I know this is an important time in the market, okay? So I'm here for everyone. Sorry. So a grateful man, XIRR, Excel's annual internal rate of return. Oh, okay. For me on Misty, stated preview, it's over 100% previously. Over 100. The yields that I mentioned are the current dividend yields on my costs for Misty. Oh, okay, I got you. So you're saying you've got over 100% IRR, which is fantastic. A grateful man, way to go. That's just fantastic, and I'm so glad you're part of the service. By the way, I remember when you joined a long time ago when I was doing a live in Maine, if I recall correctly. I try to have a relationship with all of my members. Sorry, guy. Guest that answered my question. He isn't registered financial advisor. Correct. I am not a financial advisor. K Metal, when I drip, you drip. When I drip, you drip. Yeah. You're gonna make me start dancing here, K Metal. Okay. That reminds me of what we were talking about in the last live too. Okay, you guys are great. I appreciate that. That brings me back. Okay, it brings me back to the good times. If I could only play that music now, but they always like demonetize my video when I play music. Isaac, can your strategy still work if you're Canadian and there's no Cornerstone drip at NAV? Absolutely, Isaac. I get that question so much, okay? And yeah, in 2021, I outperformed even without that drip because we got 100% gain in the stock. The stock went from 7 to 14, and we got a 20% dividend, and we reloaded all those gains after the rights offering. Okay, before the rights offering, we got out and we reloaded after, and that's how I doubled my account up. Not only 100% right then and there, but then we had the rights offering, which I just, really leveled up after the rights offering. They tell you when to buy and sell, and that's in my Volume 4 e-guide, and you get free Discord for life when you buy my e-guide. So you get not only Volume 4 and Discord, but we give you the rights offering announcement and the N2 filing in Discord. So good question, Isaac. I outperformed even without the drip. I was scared of the drip because I wanted to pay down my margin, but I should have just had the drip on the whole time and then sold it if I wanted to, just to pay down the margin. Lance, the consistent $600K dividend income that is auto-paying the margin payment speaks for itself. I know, right? Thank you so much, Lance. And by the way, well, yes, I should say yes, correct. And again, great talk, Lance, yesterday. Well, I have many Lances, by the way. Lance Helly versus Lance Huel. There's different Lances, okay? Make sure I'm speaking about the right Lance. But Lance, thank you for saying that, Lance. SP, I got the Discord. I'm Uncle Sheep on there. Oh, okay. Good to know that, SP. Yeah, check out that channel if you get a chance. Beast, I'm Mirage on there. Mirage, oh, right. Oh, I know that. I know that you're Mirage. I was wondering who put those Defiance charts up there. Okay, those really helpful Defiance charts. Was that you, or was that who was that put the Defiance chart? I need to find it again, because that's the true total return for Defiance, and that's what's amazing. Redfish, I sold 90% of my Yieldmax so I can buy Cornerstone after the rights offering. I'm assuming it will get approved. Hey, that's a great strategy, Red. You're avoiding all this market volatility. The only reason why I couldn't do such a thing is because I still had to pay my bills and get the qualifying income. I can't have it interrupted. And I have to pay my bills. And I have to grow. And I have to have a little excitement in life. And I have to keep pushing the envelope, because you never know when a rainy day will hit. My members know about some of the issues with my own family members. And so got to keep pushing it, even for healthcare costs. Jay Baby, what is your E-Trade margin rate? Around 5, a little lower. Okay. I've had countless members negotiate their rates down. I'm sure they would share that with you in these comments. Okay. Some did not have success, but many did. And when they don't have success negotiating rates down, you can still get your rates down if you just follow up and you say the right things and, stay accountable. They usually work with you. All right. So just, if you want those rates lowered, stick with it. And, many people got it on the first try. They said the script worked like perfectly. And even if you don't get the rates down, again, it's not the end of the world because we have an arbitrage opportunity with these higher yields anyway. They blow away the interest rate charged. Okay, thanks for everything, Beast. And good point, Red. Okay, Mercy, you appreciate the live? Of course, I appreciate you. Jay, what is your E-Trade rate? Okay, yeah, around 5. A little under 5, I think now. Grateful, I was looking outside thinking it was our landscapers. No, yeah, it's mine. Gosh, I'm so glad that that's over. I was yelling into the microphone. I apologize. Ben, have you heard of a new monthly player called OMAH? No, I haven't. Should we go look into that really fast? OMAH. Thank you for the suggestion. Okay, OMAH. Okay, we have Vista Shares target 15. Oh, select Berkshire ETF. No. So this is going to pay a dividend, 15%. We've had a pullback. I don't know if that's from Berkshire or from the underlying. And Vista Shares, very interesting, great information. Once again, this is why this channel and this community is so valuable. So Active, I'm familiar with Solactive. I used to own one of their small cap shares, their REIT share ETFs. Vista Shares, Berkshire, yeah, I mean, you got to buy it. 15% dividend, and you're getting Berkshire exposure. So I'll be buying this on Monday. Thanks to my viewers, that's how I got ideas for all of my stuff. They introduced me to Yieldmax, and OMA is 50%, so not terrible. I mean, Berkshire's probably 30, but hey, not bad. Again, if you don't know what I mean by maintenance, that's in my Volume 3 e-guide. So I'll be buying this, and we'll be looking more into Vista Shares as a result. Okay, and let me go ahead and buy that right now, just so I don't forget. So we'll do 2,000 of it. Okay, and it's gonna just be there for the weekend. Okay, it'll execute on Monday. All right, man, it's as easy as that. Oh, is that scary? I don't think so. It's just gonna take up 1,000 of my available withdrawal. Okay, who cares? All right, it's already even reflected here. If you're just joining now, we're earning over 600,000 in dividends. I think maybe it was higher before the ulti screw up. I'm sure they'll get that back on track. We saw on Discord that they did announce that. So, we're earning 600,000. That could fluctuate, between 5 and 6, maybe even between 5 and 700,000. But we're still in between the indexes, which is right where we want. We're beating the NASDAQ. And overall, I want to go with the NASDAQ over time because that's, where the world's headed. The S&P is a great balance, but you can't ignore the names of the NASDAQ and where this world is headed with the, this fifth industrial revolution we're in. AI, virtualization, robo-taxis, everything you can think of. Okay, there's a big growth phase happening with the NASDAQ, but you don't want to be totally tied to the NASDAQ. You want to be right in between the NASDAQ and the S&P. So that's how we're living freely out of our account, not getting margin called. We're outperforming. It's because of these index funds and because I use margin correctly. Okay, email me for my e-guides if you need help using margin to live free out of your account. All my bills are paid out of this account. Again, I use my E-Trade card, go wherever I want. And Fidelity has a card too, as you saw in the comments. Okay, so let me get it to a dark screen again and pull up this chat. Thanks again, okay, Ben, for Omaha. We'll just call it, okay? I feel like Peyton Manning or something. Omaha, Berkshire Hathaway, we all know. So 50% maintenance, gotta love that. It's not the best, but it's not 100%. So I'll take it. Thank you again, Ben. Going to get some winter as well. Yeah, you have to. I mean, I have some winter. I wish I even had a little more. I mean, I bought some. I alerted everyone on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter if you don't follow me on Twitter already. Okay. So I'm seeing some numbers jump on here. We're at 163 at the time of this live. So keep following me on Twitter, okay? If you haven't already, get this number going. But I alerted of winter here on Twitter. When I can't make videos on YouTube, I do my alerts there on Twitter, and my most important alerts will be in my SMS texts, which are in my, membership section on YouTube. Okay, you get Discord and my portfolio and SMS text like Sully got. Okay, Sully upgraded here to Fire and Discord. And again, email me, Sully, if you want to opt in to my SMS text, because I just threw that in as an extra value. Okay, I try to throw in as much value as I can to my e-guides. My e-guides are, as y'all know, the gold bundle, and silver bundle are, okay, just full disclosure, they're 300 and 200. I'm supposed to be raising prices, and I just still haven't raised my prices because I want to be fair to everyone. I believe that I have earned the right to raise prices, but I want this to be accessible to all. Okay, and I made my membership section on YouTube only 10 a month, so it's, people can do this for life, and we're in this, we're in on this journey together. Okay, for life. So once again, thanks again, Sully, and thanks again, Ben, for that great idea. Okay, on Omaha. So Redfish, did you tell Kemmer about your sellout? Izzy, Redfish, did you tell oh, okay. Yeah, the Kemmers, we the Kemmers, I don't know. For me personally, I can't stand the channel. I've never watched them. I just hear they're very erratic with margin. But if you want, margin on steroids, I guess that's the place to go. I'm trying to outperform and live free, live responsibly. I want to sleep at night. I don't want to be pulling my hair out at night. I want just a little bit of excitement with my margin, but I know I can sell it at any time if I have a problem. Sonia, I wanted to mention, Todd, I like Z-Vol, and it's a great buy lately. It's low 16s and high 15s. Z-Vol, is it in any way like S-Vol? Okay, so let's just go look at Z-Vol. And by the way, I met these fund managers. I met them at the conference. Let's just see what they do really quickly, if there's information on them. There's not really a lot of information and E-Trade for Z-Vol. But tell me, Sonia, is it a lot different than S-Vol? Okay, please let me know. Let's get back to the chats. And then I have one more thing to share about the put options and Granite Shares. Okay. So please let me know, Sonia, if it's similar to S-Vol. I used to cover S-Vol and be all about it when I couldn't find those kinds of yields, high yields. But now we have all these newer high yield funds that are index related. So, oh man, so I go with those higher yields now, and I haven't really followed S-Vol and Z-Vol as much as a result. Okay, CBS, any idea of how CRF and CLM will be for those who participate? How low it will be? No idea, CBS, but typically they try to go at 112%. You know what I mean? So if it fluctuates above or below that, I'm always buying more anyway. But we'll talk more about that in the live, CBS. Maui, anybody on the fence about Todd's strategy, you can put a price on his membership in eGuides. For just 10 a month is a steal. My account went from 25K to 205K in 13 months. Wow, invaluable. Mahalo, Todd. And yeah, I learned a little bit of language from Maui, okay? But thank you so much for saying that as well, Maui. All right. Yes. Aloha. Mahalo, brother. I love you so much, okay? And Maui's a really interesting guy, a really amazing guy, very successful. And, even if he wasn't successful or not successful, the way that he went about his line of work is just amazing. And I have all kinds of amazing stories I could share about my members. They're all just amazing people. But, Maui really, took a leap of faith in me early on, especially for my options and stuff like that. Maui, just one of the original ones. So thanks again, Maui. Always here for you, brother. Red, I'm assuming it will be near the current NAV or lower. Correct, but usually you don't really see that kind of thing, Red. I mean, it's low if you get it at NAV. It's very rare. Lamar, what's up? Can't wait for Monday. Yeah, me too. It's going to be pretty crazy. Okay, popcorn ready. ECAT, BCAT, right. The reason why I don't like ECAT and BCAT, I mean, you're right. They barely dropped. That could be true. But ECAT and BCAT, there's a lot of ESG investing, which is fine. But some, they have a lot of bond exposure. And if we do have a rising rate environment, which some people are saying could happen if inflation surges, which I think is all a bunch of BS, and I think this is all just consolidation. We see the Nasdaq pulling back because it's expensive. The Dow has been flat. Staples and defensive names have been up, showing that it's just a rotation, in my opinion. And so bonds and defensives have done well as a result. I'm going to call it because I don't know if I'm mispronouncing your name. Ophir? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I know we know each other well, but I've just never been able to pronounce your name. Let me know. But yeah, they have a lot of bonds, ECAT and BCAT. They have equity exposure, but they have bonds, kind of like GOF. And again, in a rising rate environment, bonds are going to get hurt, of course. And also, I go for higher yields elsewhere now anyway, because I can just pay down my margins so fast, and we have dividend snowballs, and we get ahead so much faster. No time to panic now, Lamar. I agree. And plus, we have all these shorts, which we're about to get into, and that's just really going to help us in the event of a downturn. We're going to make a lot of money going down should that happen. But if we go higher, well, then we only lose so much. You have to pay a cost for insurance, just like a house. Tiger, love your lives as always on point. Thank you so much, Tiger. I really appreciate your comments always, especially on YMAX. Redfish, Cornerstone meeting is April 8th. I'm assuming the rights offering may be announced then. It could be. Could be, Red. No one knows for sure. If they did, we would be very wealthy people. But you can only guess around the time period and you can only use the premiums, okay, in the market. If you need clarity on that, that's volume 4 once again. Lamar, so Red, every video I watch, I see you in the comments. What's up? Hey, glad y'all could connect. Mitch, HTGC, great BDC holding, up strong, index beating total returns. Hey, great comment. Yeah, I'm familiar with HTGC, Mitch. Great point, okay? I have to get to the end of these comments, and I can't go forever in this live, but y'all go look it up, and I trust Mitch. Okay, EPD, great energy stock that hasn't budged in a downturn. You're right. We have AMZA, for our utilities play. Pipelines play. It's kind of like utility, but ET did really well. EPD, another great one. Enterprise. So I agree, Mitch. Energy has been a strong area. When the market's been down, energy's been up. It could be an inflation hedge too. And pipelines are supposed to be great under Trump because lower energy prices with all the volume, but that's great for pipelines. Sonia, last year RO was announced on April 8th. Correct. It's not going to rhyme. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it does rhyme. Red, just waiting for the rights offering, getting deals when the market drops. Totally. Nico, love your channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Nico. Appreciate that comment. Will do. But we're all in this together, okay? So I'm keeping it up. You're seeing me keep it up. This is what it looks like. Of course, you can watch my private videos to see more in-depth stuff, but we're just staying accountable to each other, okay? And we're all going to make sure that we're, staying ahead together, okay? Major Sam, sorry, got distracted. That's okay. So we broke the 200-day moving average. Buy, sell, nibble. Right, we broke that 200. I mentioned that at the beginning of the video. I would say... we're at that retest phase, and so we have to just be ready for both, for both sides. We're on the fence, 50-50. I was buying certain things small on Friday. Check out that last live if you didn't. And then I'll, of course, do a live on Monday, and we'll be in this thing together, of course. I'll be there probably early in the morning if it's crazy. If it's not, then I'll be in there probably in the afternoon. VVR, SPMC, great calls, M. Red, Todd's crushing it. Thank you so much, Red. Denali, Z-Vol is a one-time mid-term futures. S-Vol is up to 0.3. Okay. So sounds like you're going to get perhaps -1, and this is -0.3. So it would seem like you're getting more leverage with Z-Vol, more of a yield, more beta. Tell me if it's the opposite direction, Denali. If it's less volatile than S-Vol or more volatile than S-Vol. because it does the midterm futures versus short-term futures, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure viewers would like to know. CBS makes sense. Denali, Z-Vol has around 30% div, S-Vol 20. There we go. So that would explain it. So Z-Vol 30, that's a nice yield. I might have to go consider that myself. I'm going to go look at the maintenance and things like that. We'll get into that on Monday. Please remind me, Denali. CBS, you're welcome. Sonia, yes, it's the same div every month, consistent. Used to be Ziv B. Okay, I'm familiar with Ziv B. Price goes to 20 or over. When all is well, it says works on volatility, and when all is well, price goes to 20 or over. When falling, drops to 15s. Right, you got to play S-Vol and those around those spikes in the VIX. Thoughts on the current Bitcoin trends? I would say we're okay. I looked at a chart. I was going to do a chart of. I did an S&P chart for y'all, but we could look at Bitcoin. But for me, I'm selling those puts on Bitcoin, so I'm agnostic to the prices, because if we fall much lower, like I'm talking very low, then I'll get a sign at the lows, and you always want to buy low, sell high, and we'll get a sign with a big dividend, and it paid down our margin by $100,000. Denali, both get crushed over the last 2 months, but good flat to up markets where expected moves, increases don't get blown out. Gotcha. Good information, Denali. Gotcha, Sonia. Yeah, so, all right, the last thing I wanted to say was that we have not only short income ETFs, but we have, we have in Yieldmax, we have, to protect ourselves in a downturn. We have these short income ETFs that neutralize our long ETFs. I'm so hungry. But we also have our triple shorts, of course, SPXU, SQQQ, SPXS. Okay, so we have triple longs, but we neutralize them with triple shorts. So that's not we're straddling there on the fence. You could make $1 million in your 10,000 invested on your triple longs. Go check out those past videos. On Morningstar. But you can only lose 10,000 on the short. So if we continue to fall lower, then I have, again, $100,000 short. $50,000 is almost triple short. If you want all those short vehicles that I use, they're in my portfolio. And those are going to make a lot of money going down in a prolonged downturn. Plus our dividends pay back our margins, so I'm not worried. But if we have a crash overnight, okay, a crash, then our put options are going to make an absolute killing, okay? So we have our put options. We have some of them here. For example, we're up 96% in this one QQQ put option. We have 2 contracts. That's $500. So if we get 1,000% gain in that, which we've had 2,000% gains in our put options, then do $100 times 2,000%, okay? You're going to make $1 million. The reason why I didn't make that much before is because we sold out early. We didn't let it compound. Okay, so we have our put options, and that's in my volume 5. You got if you need help buying put options, and so that's going to make us potentially thousands of % returns. We have 500 short in our put option, one of them. Okay, and of course we have Bitcoin puts and stuff like that, but we have 500. So do 1,000% times 500. Okay, 2,000%. You're going to make tons of money in a crash, a true crash-like environment. So as I always say, we can withstand over 20% corrections because my available withdrawal is high. But then we can sell from our short ETFs and raise a lot more available withdrawal and make a lot of money on the downside in a prolonged downturn. So I'm ready for this down market. But if we have a crash, and then our dividends, by the way, pay back our debt. So the leverage just goes away in a prolonged down market. And that's why I like Defiance so much, because they raise dividends in a down market. Yieldmax is going to start cutting them. So you think you can pay down your debt and you get caught in this like pickle. You can't even pay it down as fast because Yieldmax sells calls. And so they're going to, when the market falls, you're going to get hurt. You have to have both calls and puts, and so Defiance does those puts. And that's why I'm going to do an interview with Defiance, hopefully this week with Sylvia. Hopefully it'll be this week or next week. Ari knows that I'm trying to do a video with her, and hopefully Ari's watching this video right now. I know Marcos was. I know Marcos is going to be doing a video with her as well. So stay tuned to Marcos' channel if you want to see more on Defiance. But you got to have both because Defiance sells puts and they increase your income in a down market. So I'm ready for either direction. And then we have our dividends pay back our debt. But if we had a crash, everyone's like, well, what if we have a crash? Which I don't foresee, because this just looks like a strong rotation from tech to defensives. Then our put options will make us thousands of percent. And again, that's in my volume 5 if you need help, picking put options, okay? You can always follow my portfolio at any time, and you can just copy my put options. I change them, every month. I add to them daily, okay? I do things to them daily. If I do anything significant, I always alert my members. All right, so the last thing I wanted to share with y'all was just that little tidbit about Granite Shares. Shill, Tyler's the man. I owe him an ice cold beverage. See, that's where Shill keeps coming around and doing that kind of stuff. So I appreciate you, Shill. Y'all need to go at Snarky, okay? Guys like Snarky, if they ever come in here, because Shill overall, he's just this. He's like I don't understand your humor once again, Shill, but okay, I love everybody. I love you too, man. Tiger, I'm sorry, I didn't even see all these comments. Okay, Tiger, once the market gets back to the bull trend, would you put more into Yieldmax and Ulti to increase your cash flow? I'm following Yieldmax. Of course, I definitely will. Sorry, I missed that comment, Tiger. All right, so that last little tidbit about Granite Shares that I wanted to share with you. Yieldmax is taking garbage funds to an all new level. Hey, Craig, nice comment. You mean like Apple? You mean like Microsoft, like making a fund out of those? You mean like Yieldmax? Because Yieldmax has been outperforming. It's up 37%. Go look at total returns, Craig. So Yieldmax is taking garbage funds to a new level. I would go look at total returns first. I don't get paid by Yieldmax. I don't get paid by any funds. I don't get paid by Granite Shares. I don't get paid by anyone. But I just share what works for me. I follow the total returns. I'm sure many people would take exception to what you said, Craig, but I have no, horse in the race for these funds. I just go by returns and indexing, and Yieldmax has definitely been working for us in our margin and our performance. It's up to you, Craig. If you want to look at the charts, okay, you're going to be shocked. If you want to go look at total returns and your margin and how you can really get ahead and live totally free out of your brokerage account using the equity and using the maintenance, doing it all properly, I would say maybe revisit Yieldmax. Mitch, if we continue to go down further and you add puts on a short-term up moves, would you add puts in order to get better pricing? I feel like as long as we're trading under the 200-day moving average, we're going to move lower, Mitch. I say let's get into that in the next live, okay? I'm exhausted, all right? And I feel like that's a great question. Let's do a live on Monday, okay? I'll be here for you on Monday, and we'll talk about those, different things we can do with put options then. Does that sound good, Mitch? Or, of course, call me, okay? I'm just tired. I need to take a break, okay? Craig, Yieldmax is taking garbage funds. Right. Flavius, long-term, keep eyes on the goal. Retail loses religiously. Yes, you have to go with the indexes you can't trade. Toby, Yieldmax for the win. Get in at these low prices. All right, Toby. Hey, I have no horse in this race once again. Stark, Yieldmax has done very, very well for me. Sonia, great video, Todd. I think you are I'm super smart. I think you're super smart, Sonia. You're too kind. Thank you so much. Here's the little point about Granite Shares. Here it is. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. But I was with Will. All right, it was a great time. I'm going to show you my video footage. I got limited video footage of Will, but when I was there in Vegas, okay, I got to go to dinners with him and talk in depth with him. And he told me that I told him that I can't really buy too much of Granite Shares with that kind of maintenance. I want to. The other day it outperformed the market. It was up 1.85. Market was only up 1.75. And it gives you a 30 to 50% dividend. So this is the dinner that we're at. Will's at that table. And so we went, it was like something out of Hangover, getting to roll with these guys and go from place to place, walking into these casinos. And, getting to talk with him and some of his network. I asked him all about how he, has personal expenditures. How does he, have a yacht, or how does he live his life, and how can I buy more Granite Shares? I asked him everything under the sun and what he does with his kids, everything. I'm so thankful to him for kind of, giving me a mentor, being a mentor. Well, he said that he can call and lower the maintenance for Granite Shares. Hopefully, we'll see. I heard Granite Shares is lower maintenance at other places, so hopefully he can get that down at E-Trade. If he can lower the maintenance for Granite Shares at E-Trade, well, that would be a game changer because I could buy more. And obviously, you want to watch out with triples, on in down markets. Okay, you don't want to be involved with triples so much. You want to keep them a little bit smaller, or have a much longer time frame in your horizon to invest. But when the market picks back up again, you can obviously get good upside performance with the dividends. And he has a put option in there that he has for ultimate crash protection. So I really like his shares, but I like his yield boost ETFs, YSPY, TQQY. But I need them at lower maintenance. And he said that maybe he'll put in a call and get that down. And I'm sure he will definitely try because it's in his best interest to do it. So I thought that was, very enlightening that maybe we can't negotiate our maintenance down, but we can call these fund managers and we can get them to negotiate our maintenance down at different brokers. So just want to let y'all know that there's hope there for Granite Shares, and that I'll be buying more on an upswing. Okay, I'm keeping them small right now because the market's a little stable. I keep them in the middle of my portfolio. John, do you think it's a great time to add more Misty, assuming Bitcoin's still in a bull market? Well, I'm agnostic, John, because I have obviously Misty and Fiat. And then I just I don't have an opinion on any stock. I just dollar cost average. The other longs that I have with Misty, I kind of get them exposure to them through other ETFs, which you can always see in my members' videos. That kind of takes away the volatility in my account. And, so you can also use like MST, U, and Z to protect yourself, John. And I was using those vehicles for a little bit. They're high maintenance though, so I had to stay out of them for now. Once the volatility subsides, I'll be back in the leveraged vehicles of Misty, of MicroStrategy, and then I'm just going to offset my risk with the bulk of my money with the short income, long income ETFs. And even with a small amount of money in Misty, if it's really what it's cracked up to be in these leveraged ETFs for MicroStrategy, MSTR, then you can make $1 million because 10,000 can turn to $1 million, as you saw by UPRO and TQQ calculations on Morningstar. 10,000, just using a couple 100% return in the market times 3 with the triple, you're going to get to $1 million. And if Bitcoin is what they say that it is, then you only need 10,000 in some of these, but not right here necessarily for me. With my whole margin approach, again, there's a lot of nuances in it, so I would say call me if you want, me to give you a more in-depth response there. All right, I'm so exhausted. I am hungry. Okay, Monday live for making money on a downfall would be cool. Got you, Fox. No problem. God, I hope the whole market doesn't crash next week. Okay, well, we're in it together. All right, join my membership section, by the way, if you ever want to just be with me side by side during a down market. It's right here on YouTube. Just head over to, click my channel and go over to membership. Okay, it's right there. Or you can also follow me on Twitter anytime. It's just at Todd Aiken, at Todd Aiken, UWI. Okay. You can follow me here at any time. This is where I make small updates when I'm not making videos on YouTube. Also, you can catch me on Discord at any time. Okay. Just hit @ on Discord, and that's how, I will respond to you. Don't accept any DMs from me on Discord. That is spam. All right. I am not a financial advisor. I don't give advice. I only share what works for me. I'm just keeping myself accountable to the public. And so you can reach me here, or you can just call me, okay? You have my phone number anytime, okay? You can call me, text me first to set up a call, and then we'll schedule a time after that. We're outperforming all of the indexes, living financially free out of our brokerage accounts, okay? Using margin, Yieldmax, Cornerstone, Defiance, Roundhill, Granite Shares. You just have to do it right, okay? Check out my e-guides if you need more help using your brokerage account and margin to not only live free from 9 to 5, but to also beat, the major indexes in the process. We were beating all of the indexes just 2 days ago, but we had a little bit of slippage because of Bitcoin. That fell a little bit. Also I loaded up on the dip recently into tech-heavy names. And so when tech fell, well, our performance slipped some, but overall my leverage is still quite responsible if you factor back in everything that I said in this video. And that's just what comprises it. And again, to figure out how to do the whole thing, just, you can have it there. It's in my e-guides. Email me anytime at aikentod48@gmail.com. Okay, you get Discord and my phone number for life. Okay, I hope y'all like this video. Okay, I hope it was a fun live. I hope to do more like it. If you want me to do more lives like this, just leave a comment in the section below. I know that everyone's been commenting today. Yes, exactly. You know what I'm saying, Bubble. SI, you're welcome, SI. Robert, okay, I would say check out our Discord. They tell you about all the pros and cons of every brokerage. Okay. All right, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone, and I'll see you on the next stream. All right, I think streams are easier than public videos for me. I don't have to do the edits. That's why I like it. If y'all like it, let me know. Also, if you want me to review your portfolio, call me and I'll send you a Zoom link. Email me and I'll send you a Zoom link, and we'll do it in the next live, okay? Take care, everyone. Be ready for both directions in the market. Play by the rules, okay? Be responsible, okay? Is it time to panic? You're just ready for both opportunities, okay? If we go up, it's an opportunity to make money. If we go down, it's an opportunity to dollar cost average and make more money, of course. Just play by the rules when you're using margin, all right? I agree, Rick. All right, take care, everyone, okay? Bye-bye. Welcome. Hang on, buddy, hang on. We'll talk later about that, Nick. Yeah, leave a comment or call me, Nick. Call me or